Hi and welcome to this Solidworks tutorial for a geometric shark. This tutorial demonstrates the use of sketch pictures on planes to roughly guide a 3D model. You can download the shark image files to use for the sketch pictures from the blog. You can also download the decals seen on the rendering. To begin, start a new part. To bring in the first sketch picture, start a sketch onto the top plane. Select Tools, Sketch Tools, and then Sketch Picture. For the top plane, you need to open the Shark Top PNG file. When it opens, you can change the transparency to From File. This will make the white background transparent. To resize the image, untick the Lock Aspect Ratio and change the width of the image to 102mm and the height to 150mm. The shark nose needs to be centered to the axis so that the right plane goes through the center of the shark. Move the shark -51mm along the x-axis. With the shark in place, just close the sketch. I'm just going to resize the top plane to fit the image size. Next, start a new sketch on the right plane and go to Sketch Picture again and open the shark side image. Change the transparency to From File to remove the background. Untick Fixed Aspect Ratio and change the image width to 150mm and its height to 59.5mm. For this image, I need the end of the shark's nose to touch the axis. Move the image on the y-axis by -23.25mm. With that in place, I can close this sketch. The front view image of the shark will need to go in the middle of the shark. But first, I need to add some new planes along the shark's body off the front plane, which are needed for lofting profiles later. Selecting the front plane and reference geometry, select New Plane and space it around 15mm so that it meets this point here. Create another new plane off the front plane and space it 38mm away so that it sits in front of the shark fin. Repeat the process for the next plane and space it 30mm more than the last one at 68mm. This should sit behind the bottom point of the fin. Finally, the last new plane should be spaced 115mm off the front plane, level with the end of the tail. With all the planes in place, start a new sketch on plane 3. Go to Sketch Picture and open the shark front PNG. As before, change the transparency to From File. Untick Fixed Aspect Ratio and resize the image with a width of 102mm and a height of 59.5mm. I need to move the image to be perpendicular to the axis, so move the image -51mm along the x-axis. Then to move the shark so that the top of its nose is along the axis, move it down by -23.25mm along the y-axis. It should look like this. With it in place, close the sketch. To begin modelling the shark, start a sketch on the right plane, and starting with the tail, going along the plane, draw a 12.5mm line up and roughly trace the tail fin. It doesn't need to be exact. Then looking from the top view, I'm going to extrude this mid-plane by 20mm to fit the widest part of the tail fin. The features will cover up the images, so use the wireframe view to see them. Sketch onto the top plane. Use the centre line to draw a line through the centre of the tail fin boss extrude. Then turn on Dynamic Mirror Entities. You'll know that it's active when the two lines appear here, and it's greyed out in the features. Now use the Line tool and trace over one side of the tapered fin to create a closed profile so it cut extrude like this. Viewing the model shaded with edges again, use Cut Extrude and cut the sketch through all both ways. I'm going to add chamfers to the tail fin edges by 2.5mm at 45 degrees. I'm chamfering the side faces of the tail, except for the front face. It should look like this. Now to create a loft profile onto this plane, looking from the front, I need to trace around this profile. Again, I'm going to use the center line and dynamic mirror entities, so I only need to create one side of the sketch. As I said before, it really doesn't matter how accurate you are with the dimensions. You can round these up if you'd like, but this is just a rough model. Close the sketch, and keeping the sketch highlighted, go to Loft in Features and select the tail fin face. You may need to drag the green loft controls to be parallel to each other, like this, to keep the loft straight. With that done, OK the feature. To create the mid-body, hide sketch 3 so that you can sketch onto the loft face. Sketching onto the face, use Convert Entities and extrude the sketch by 30 mm. This should take you up to the next plane. Bringing sketch 3 back into view, change the model view to wireframe. The next sketch is for the shark's head here. Sketching onto plane 1, draw a 26 mm centre line, centre to the axis and the shark's head. Then use the centre rectangle and drawing from the centre of the line, draw a 26 by 26 mm square. Then using sketch chamfer, change the chamfer dimension to 2 mm and chamfer all 4 corners of the square. You can just ignore this warning. With it chamfered, close the sketch. I'm going to make the model shaded. Then using the loft feature again, loft the sketch with the face. Remembering to move the green loft controls to run straight to each other, otherwise there'll be a twist in the loft. The final part of the shark's main body is the nose. Sketching onto the front plane, draw a centre line down from the axis to the bottom of the nose sketch. Using the centre rectangle, start from the middle of the centre line and draw the nose. Use the sketch chamfer like before and chamfer the rectangle's corners by 0.5 mm. Closing the sketch, loft the sketch to the shark's face, ensuring that it lofts straight. Viewing the shark from the side and sketching onto the right plane, turn on the wireframe view, I can see that I need to cut away this excess loft. So just trace the shark's nose from the axis along the image to the edge of the shark's head here. Close the profile and use Cut Extrude through all both ways. The nose should end up looking like this. Next, move on to the shark's top fin and sketching onto the right plane. Trace over the fin, starting from the edge of the shark at this plane to the other side of the body and close the sketch. Viewing the model from the front, I can see how wide the fin should be. Using Boss Extrude, I'm going to extrude the sketch mid-plane by 15 mm to the widest point of the fin. Then, like the tail fin, I need to trim away some of the fin to create the tapered look. Sketching onto the plane from the front of the fin, turn on the wire view and draw a centre line through the middle of the fin. Use dynamic mirror entities and starting from the top of the line, trace over the fin and create a profile to cut away. With the profile closed, use Cut Extrude and ensure that the feature cuts through the fin all along it. The fin should look like this. Finally, moving on to the side fins. Looking from the front, I need a new plane level with the top of the side fin. So add a new plane off the top plane by 2 mm. You may need to flip the direction. Sketching onto the new plane. Trace over the fin, ensuring that it is flush with the shark's body. Extrude the sketch level to the bottom of the fin at around 21 mm. Now I need to trim away the excess extrusion. Turn on wireframe view and sketching onto the front plane. Trace over and around the fin's front profile. Just make sure that you don't draw over the shark's body in this corner. Once the profile is closed, it should look like this. Use cut extrude through all. Hide in all the planes. Use chamfer and ensure the dimension is on 2mm at 45 degrees. And chamfer the top outer edges and all the bottom edges of the fin to look like this. The fin can then be mirrored over. Selecting mirror in features, ensure all 3 features are selected under features to mirror, including the chamfer, cut extrude and boss extrude. Mirror the features along the right plane. To add some more detail, chamfer the top fin edges with the same dimensions as before. To finish off the model, I'm going to soften the shark fins with a fillet. I'm going to fillet the sharp edges by 1mm on the top fin, side fins and tail fin. With that done, you can hide the 3 original sketches with the shark images on. Then add a 2mm fillet to the nose face of the shark. You may need to fillet the top edge of the nose separately like this. With the shark finished, I'm going to add a shark decal. Selecting the shark's body under Solid Bodies, go to Edit Decal and browse for the shark decal. Under Mapping Controls, reselect Projection so that the decal window appears like this. Untick Fixed Aspect Ratio and resize the decal to 153mm by 59mm. And just drag it into place so that the shark's face sits further forward on the model, and OK the decal. And there we have a geometric 3D shark. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Thanks for watching.